we discussed yesterday, Pink Floyd's Roger Waters in a recent interview spoke about the death of the late icon Ozzy Osbourne as fans around the world continue to mourn his loss and reflect upon his legacy. Now, immediately after that, Roger begins trashing Ozzy, undermining his contributions to music, basically being very dismissive and smug when talking about Ozzy. He basically presents him as this caricature, despite the fact that Ozzy has sold well over 100 million albums worldwide, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2 separate times. I mean, obviously, I don't need to go on about his legendary, iconic status, but obviously this immediately led to backlash. I saw this interview. It was from a couple of weeks ago, and so I wanted to discuss it. And then, a few hours later after that video went out, we now have a response from Jack Osbourne laying into Roger Waters, understandably. And I want to say about Jack, this is a guy that I've always respected. I grew up watching the Osbournes. I thought they were so great and transparent and funny and humble on that show. And over the years, watching Jack immerse himself in so many different things, not just from the music industry, but also with his shows. I think we have a lot of commonality. I'm really interested in, let's say, the supernatural, as you can probably tell from my logo. And then also he's done a lot of cool personal development things through MMA and all of that. He's faced a lot of personal adversity as well with his health. And, Jack is someone who, he's not really out here on social media a lot, but obviously when you mess with his family, he is not going to play around with that, as you are seeing here. Now, this statement that he shared, Kelly Osbourne also reposted that. But obviously, and completely understandably, they are just baffled and disgusted by these comments made by Roger Waters, who, of course, over the years, many different times, has ruffled feathers, notwithstanding his own former bandmate, David Gilmour, David Draymond, among others. And so this is what we know about this situation with Jack Osbourne obviously firing back at Roger Waters. For anyone who missed the initial story, here's the quick version. In an interview with the podcast called The Independent Inc., Pink Floyd's Roger Waters went on a tear about Ozzy Osbourne. He called Ozzy's life on TV idiocy and nonsense. Instead of his music, quote, "I have no idea. I couldn't give a f." He also dismissed Black Sabbath entirely. Given that Ozzy just passed away in July, the comments landed with a thud, and many saw them as deeply disrespectful. Now, we knew a response was likely, and Jack Osbourne just delivered it via Instagram. He posted a stark red image with white text that gets right to the point. Jack wrote, "Hey Roger Waters, f*** you. How pathetic and out of touch you've become. The only way you seem to get attention these days is by vomiting out bullshit in the press. My father always thought you were a thanks for proving him right." He did not hold back at all. He called Waters pathetic, out of touch, and accused him of saying things just to get attention. But that last line is the one that really hits. "My father always thought you were a thanks for proving him right." The interview also had another moment that reinforces Jack's claim that Waters is out of touch. During that rant, Waters said, "I have no interest in biting the heads off of chickens or whatever they do." The podcast host actually corrected him on the spot, pointing out that Ozzy famously bit the head off of a bat, not a chicken. Waters' response to being corrected was, quote, "Oh my God, that's even worse, isn't it? I don't know. Is it worse to bite the head off of a bat or a chicken? They're both pretty tricky, aren't they?" So he didn't even know the details of Ozzy biting the head off of a bat. He didn't even seemingly follow his career closely, but when given the opportunity, he goes out of his way to trash Ozzy Osbourne, which obviously has elicited that response there from Jack. Now, this also brought on a very strong response on social media from so many of you. If you're not following on Instagram, you can join the conversation over there. But we had a lot of big comments, and I want to take a look at just a few of them here. This fan said, "Jealousy transcends death." It makes you wonder, was he jealous of that fame and success that Ozzy had? This fan wrote, "That's why I prefer David Gilmour." Of course, David Gilmour and Roger Waters have not been on good terms for many years now. Another user said, "Roger Waters hasn't been relevant in over 35 years. Another said, "Roger, you are nothing without David." And you have this comment from Barbara Ann Wild, the wife, of course, of Zakk Wylde, Ozzy's longtime guitarist. She's also the host of the Honest AF podcast. Definitely check that out. Here's what she said. "What a jealous tool. I love PF, but he seems bitter and jaded for the absolute worldwide love and adoration of Ozzy. Or maybe that Ozzy was the only one ever to leave a massive band, Black Sabbath, and have an even bigger solo career. Roger Waters is not now and will never be relevant outside of Pink Floyd." And she makes a really good point there. You know, Ozzy, of course, left Black Sabbath. People thought that from there, maybe his career would fizzle out, and he goes on to have this massively successful solo career as well. And that is not necessarily something you have seen from Roger Waters. It just makes you wonder, like, even if Ozzy's music wasn't for you, if you weren't a fan of it, oh, I didn't really pay much attention, but, you know, it's sad to hear that he lost. But to go out of your way, seemingly, in this interview, in such a public way, to overtly trash him, obviously this is going to lead to a massive backlash, as we're seeing now. So as always, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you're new here, welcome to the feed, fam. Hit that subscribe button with notifications on for the latest news and updates about your favorite bands.